Hello everyone, welcome to Cork in the North this week. Andrew here. Thanks to everybody that's listening, liking it, hating it as well. You don't have to let me know. Come here, we're releasing an episode this week with Domhnall Nugent, the Antrim hurler. He's got a great story to tell. We recorded this a good few weeks back and we actually released it onto the members page. And we got a nice reaction to it. We thought, you know what? Let's release it on a Thursday at 6 o'clock to everybody. You can see what kind of stuff happens over on the Patreon. So please do, if you've not signed up, for £3 a month, you can join us for 3 extra episodes and also discounted tickets as well to live shows, which we will be announcing fairly soon. You also get a discount on the merchandise as well. We are running out of T-shirts, ladies and gentlemen. These are the T-shirts here. We've got another batch coming soon. You can get the last few T-shirts up on the Shopify, which is on the links and stuff like that, if you follow my link tree, which is going to be on the description here on this video. So please do buy one of the T-shirts, and we've only got a few mugs left as well, which are here, and then we're going to be doing the next batch, which we're going to be including sort of lanyards. We're looking at pens, we're looking at keyrings, all things to kind of help and support the podcast if you can. Also be a nice Christmas present to somebody who listens to the podcast for Christmas. So we will have the shop fully stocked again in the next couple of weeks. So please do buy what's remaining up there. And also, subscribe to the Patreon. Buy some merch if you like it. This episode with Domhnall is a fantastic episode. We thought, you know what, let's just release it to the public. I hope you enjoy it. We are doing a few things with the studio as well. We're getting a new table in. So that's going to be happening, and looking also at some new microphones as we continue to grow. So thanks to everyone that supports us. And on Monday at 6 p.m, we're doing a live episode which will be online to patrons only, which you will be able to send in questions live. So if you want to watch that, you have to subscribe, follow all the links and stuff. But listen, that's enough of me trying to promote and push stuff, okay? Hope you enjoyed the episode. It's a little bit different than usual. That's what we like to do here. We like to come in, have a laugh, talk absolute nonsense, libel ourselves and stuff. And then other episodes, we like to get some really interesting people on with great stories to tell. Okay, that's enough from me. Hope you enjoy it. Buy merch. Need to keep lights on. Lights need to be kept on. Buy the merch. First things first, before we crack on. Are you watching the All-Ireland this year?
Okay.
Right. First things first. I know you're the hurling, but did you watch Derry Cork in the football?
Yeah.
What did you think?
It was crap, wasn't it? Football's hard to watch, isn't it?
It is when you're losing. I thought, for Cork, it was a game too far.
But I don't know, if Cork went and got the goal, and then if they had just, let it sit for a couple of minutes.
They conceded again after, 50 seconds?
50 seconds, so probably... Whenever their tails were up, they weren't long going back down again. So I don't know, Andrew. I think that
what's it like when you're playing for Antrim and stuff, and you are in that zone of you score and someone scores straight. You score a goal and someone scores straight after you. Like what? Because all of a sudden you're up and it's like a double hit, isn't it? Because you've gone so high, you're to being so low. Like how?
But there are things that you'd be looking at too. Like and we used to have a thing. After you scored a goal, it was like make it 4, so get the next score. Turn the 3 points into 4 points to try and
the front foot, stay on the momentum.
So there are things that you'd probably be working on, but it's probably just happened. Like, I don't know. You feel sorry for Cork, but I think Derry underperformed too. So I think there's more in Derry. Like, what do you think?
I think it was a game too far for Cork, and I think Derry semi-final is literally them done.
Yeah, but it's progression, isn't it?
Massive progression. But I think Cork is a young squad, and we've not been anywhere for a long time. But also, it's amazing to think that all these new systems that we've had in place, all the new GA systems, the round robins, the group stage and all that, it's still fucking Dublin and Kerry.
Yeah.
I heard somebody on a GA go or whatever it is to do that. 1 second. Open it.
I'm sorry.
We'll cut it. Open it. Sean's been here all morning, so he's hungry. Open it. Right. So... one thing I heard on the GA, I could see him over there. He was going so fucking slow with the sandwich. It was actually annoying.
Would that annoy you, Andrew?
Small things like that.
Would it?
Yeah, bugged the shit out of me.
I don't have the time to be annoyed about stuff like that. Not the time, but more. I don't care. Like,
yeah,
I don't care enough to be worried about that.
This is what I want to talk to you about a little bit about in a second. But
by the way, look at Sean's wedding ring. It looks well on him, doesn't it?
Looks great.
He looks like a good man, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. It's a shame she's left already.
I went a rough couple of weeks.
It's been a rough couple of weeks. That's why he's eating here, because he's got nowhere to sleep. But anyway, we move on from the Gaelic chat. Domhnall, you've had a very interesting life so far, haven't you?
I have. Yeah.
Give it a quick background, because obviously I know what you're doing now and stuff like that. Like, but if we were to introduce you to an audience, say, who don't know Domhnall Nugent, what would give us a 60-second recap of you?
Like I'm from West Belfast here.
Yeah.
You mentioned there I play hurling for Antrim. I still do, Antrim seniors. GA has been a massive part of my life. It's probably saved my life. But from a young age, I had a lot of issues, like in terms of trauma and stuff like that I never really dealt with. But I was probably an addict long before I picked up a drink or a drug, Andrew. Like I don't know what I know you do, sort of. You know a bit about addiction, like, and I think that I was just not facing reality and just diving into drink and drugs. And I suppose by the time I was 21, I was homeless and had nothing, and I was on the streets, and I was down and out, and I got a second chance at life. Yeah. So I went to rehab, Sister Concilio's in Uri. There's loads of them. There's one in Cork too, actually.
Yeah. There's what's the one in Cork?
Sure is it? No?
Something. What you call? Oh, Jesus Christ! What's the one in Tabor Lodge?
Yes.
You know Tabor Lodge.
So I was in rehab for 3 months in 2019.
Jesus.
Aye.
It's not long ago, like.
Nah.
Just before the pandemic, when you think about it, like.
Yeah. So we've been 4 years sober there on June the 3rd, which is great. Like, my whole life's changed since. But I think, like, it's just being honest, connecting myself to myself, being honest with me, building a relationship with me, not comparing myself to other people. Loads of different things, like, and there was loads of horrible things that went on to in my childhood. You know, it was rough, like it was, and it was abuse. Yeah. So, and you often find it with people, and I work with people now who are in like active addiction, and it's not really about the drink or the drugs or the gambling or the sex or anything like that. It's about what's going on even deeper than that, and that's what I was doing, just chasing my reality, if you like. But now I sort of love my reality.
Kind of like chasing oblivion.
It was not a nice place to be in, like, do you know what I mean? Because then you turn, like, because I was kind of successful growing up, like, you know, I was head boy of school, like, accepted in St. Mary, used to do teaching, like, from the outside of my life, looking in as a role model to people, Andrew, and, like, people looked up to me and people wanted to be like me, but inside I was Dan. And do you ever watch the advert? This is a long 60 seconds, isn't it?
It's great, keep going.
Do you ever watch the advert on TV where the guy's out partying with all his mates and he comes home and he pulls the mask off?
Oh,
and he's like, can't look at himself in the mirror. That was me, like, and that was even me from like 11, 12, 13, 14. I was always pretending to be something that I wasn't. Yeah. And me and you're sitting here having a conversation now, and I'm like, I'm here. Like, I'm present. I'm like, just thinking about you, talking to you. Do you know, I don't really care what I'm doing in an hour's time. I was never like that. I was always like, maybe me and you're sitting here, but I'd be thinking like, who do I owe money to? Who am I doing this to? Who am I doing that to? What lies did I tell? Do you know, and it's just all madness.
Constantly distracted, basically.
100%, and it's that sort of, you're living, but you're not really living, you're only in existence, you're only like floating along.
So when you were in the hypes of addiction, drinks, drugs, you're hurling at the same time, a little bit,
wee bit, but not.
So you're dropping in, dropping out, like, When did you realize, like, you're in the middle of addiction, like when you became homeless? Was that the
probably? And I like, I spoke about this a lot, obviously, but I think that I was always sort of like, an alcoholic, someone who lies on the street. An alcoholic's a dipso, an alcoholic is a down and out. An alcoholic, just associating an alcoholic with something that I'm not. And the thing that I've learned, Andrew, is that it doesn't pick and choose. Like, addiction doesn't pick and choose what family it goes into, who it affects. And I think over the last 4 years working with people on addiction, I think that, like, there's been school principals, there's been doctors, there's been
solicitors, barristers.
It's mental. It's crazy. So it's not just people from like depraved areas or whatever way you want to look at it. So, but I think the defining moment, and I spoke about this a few times, and I know our Eamon's here and I, like, we like Sean and Lo, our connection is just, it's so strong, and always has been since I was a kid. Like, but I remember, like, it was one night I was on the streets and sort of sofa surfing and just fucking about, you know what I mean? I was living out of a rucksack, but one morning I woke up underneath my granny's porch, and I never would have done that. I would never have tried to bring any madness or anything home, you know. If there was ever any damage, it was on me, do you know what I mean? So it was like, but anyway, I woke up under her porch, and my granny and Eamon standing there, like, and they're both crying their eyes out. And they're like, will you please just go get some help? And see, looking at the Eamon's eyes that day, like he was just lost because he knew he didn't have anyone. Do you know that type of way? Like, and I just knew then the next thing they'd be planning for me would be a funeral, like, because I didn't want to be here, like, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and tell me, like, I mean, I'm just trying to. When you were like doing all this and you're like drinks and drugs and you're sofa surfing and stuff like that, were you fighting with people? Were you getting picked up by the police? Like, what kind of? How were you How were you carrying yourself? Were you going out to like the pubs that I might go out at the moment? Were you fitting in with society, or were you were you hanging around with the wrong people, or were you hanging around with decent people? You were just doing things secretly. Like, how did it?
Starting, it was a journey. Like,
it's a lie, isn't it? You're constantly covering yourself, 100%. Aren't you?
And what, like, so the journey was like, so like the first time, for instance, like Coke got put out in front of me was in Holy Lands. Like, and bearing in mind, I grew up always just wanting to be like the best in the sporting capacity. Like, I heard in football, I just wanted to be like the best that I could be. And so I always thought, like, nah, I'll never take drugs, I'll never drink. But so someone put out a plate in the Holy Lands one day, and I was like, fuck. Like, did I feel pressured? Of course. Like, did I feel like if I didn't take it, I wouldn't fit into that friend group? Yes. No, all them sort of things that go through your head. But
Jack the lad, like.
100%, but I took it, and it was like, I got a wee bit of a buzz of it, but it wasn't like, I wasn't addicted to it straight away. But inside six months, my whole, and this is the thing, like, friend groups changed. So I used to, so say me and you are good pals, like, and we're out, and you're going, fuck me, Domhnall's not right there. Like, I would have recognised that you were thinking that, so I would have been like, out the gap, okay, I'm not spending any more time with him, but I will, what I will do is, I'll go spend more time with someone who's taking more drugs and drinking more.
Who's not looking at my behaviour.
Exactly.
They're enabling you.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So they're like, right, come drink with me. And I was like, right, come drink with me. And then we both felt normal because we're both doing the same thing. So I used to spend a lot of time with other alcoholics.
Well, I have seen that easily done. I've done that with friends of people who I've gone out with, and I've seen they're drinking. I won't drink with them anymore.
So there you are. And I think that, see, as I mentioned there about the journey and stuff, it got to the stage where I was never alone, like, because I've always been surrounded by teens and people and family and friends and all this, but I've never felt so alone, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, it ended up, I wanted to sit in the corner of the pub on my own, or I wanted to sit in the house in the flat with no electric, with a candle lit, with a bag of Coke and a bottle of whiskey on my own. So it was a very isolating sort of, that journey of out with the lads, bit of crack, you know, at the weekends, and then it was just, and that's why I always say to people, I'm not a hypocrite, definitely not a hypocrite, but I would often say to people that, you know, go out and have the crack, but not whenever there's baggies going on in your head, like, not whenever you're trying to numb whatever madness is going on or any wee problems you might have at home, like, you know. Yeah. And even in sport, like, so what do you do when you win? You drink. What do you do when you lose? You drink. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's hard. It's a cycle
you're stuck in all the time, and a lot of people can get swept up with it, and you can go down the right path. When did the light bulb go on about fixing yourself? You're on the porch.
That day.
So what happens the following day? Tell me. so that you wake up on the porch. Did you get brought into the house? And that was it.
Tears and all that crack. I was a bit of this, and
the screaming, the shouting, and
I think a lot of passed.
The classic stuff.
I think that all passed. Like, the tried all that. It was death ordinary. You know, it was that type of.
But you feel. Sorry for interrupting you, but you feel that sometimes addicts need to go to the bottom?
See, I used to think that, Andrew.
Did you?
Oh, I did, and up until probably last year, I think. There's this thing in AA, like, they haven't suffered enough, or they're not ready yet. And I probably preached that too, even with Let's Face It in my podcast, that even the people I was working with, I was like, maybe he hasn't been through enough pain. But I'm so against that now, it's unbelievable. And I think that's true.
I wouldn't have any experience of AA, but I know people who do. Yeah. And I personally think it's very, very beneficial for a lot of people, but I think there's people out there who are addicted to being addicted to stuff. They're addicted to meetings. They're addicted to talking about it. You know, I've seen it in people I know.
And that's probably one of the biggest reasons why my perception shifted, as in you haven't really suffered enough, because I was going through this sort of crossroads with my own recovery, Andrew. Like say, for an example, I was going into an AA room. I'll just tell you, I might as well just tell you the story. I went into an AA meeting one Friday night, and Antrim were playing Waterford on a Sunday in Belfast, and I was playing, like, but one of the boys came over to me, and who's been going to AA for years, and he said to me, like, "You're some crack, aren't you?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You just waltz in and out of here, in and out of here whenever you want." And I was like, "What's that supposed to mean?" He's like, "You should be doing this and doing that." And I was like, "Hold on a minute." See if you go up there on Sunday, because our meeting was at the bottom of the White Rock Road. If you go up to the top of the White Rock Road, which is Craigan Park, I was like, see if you go in there 2 o'clock on Sunday. Like, I'll be playing against Waterford. That's my recovery. There's a bit of living to be done. Do you know what I mean? And Jimmy Carr, who was on Stephen Bartlett's
Diary of a CEO,
podcast, like his life was the first 20 years of his life was shit enough, Andrew. Like, and he was like, okay, so say on average we lived over 80 if we're lucky. He's like, the first quarter of my life was shit, but am I going to let the next 3 quarters be dictated by the first quarter, or am I going to use the first quarter as ammunition for the next 3 quarters? And I was like, wow, that's powerful. And that's like, I could sit here and feel sorry for myself for the things that have happened, the things that have went on, or maybe even not forgive myself for some of the things that I've done, but what's the point?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think, just back to answer your question before one, that crossroads moment between you referenced it there about people being addicted to meetings and stuff. Like, I've went into, and this all sort of comes with what I learned, I suppose, off what Jimmy Carr and stuff said that day, and about people just living a bit, because there's people going in the AA rooms. And by the way, AA is a brilliant organisation.
I think AA it's a wonderful institution.
It's fantastic.
It saves so many lives.
But there's people in AA rooms who have been there for like 20 years, and they're going in 3 nights a week and saying, for example, my name is Domhnall, I'm an alcoholic, I'm fucking 20 years sober and blah, blah, blah. And it's all just negative. And I'm like, I have this thing with, let's face it, it's like, be excited about who you want to become. Like, have a vision, have a dream, and go and get it. Like, do you know what I mean? Because addicts are the smartest people I know. Yeah. So why not use your energy? And
they are very smart.
Like, you know? So.
I remember once, I would say that I would have a very interesting relationship with alcohol. So I drink, and I love pints, but I would be very disciplined. And so, for example, if I knew I was going to a wedding, I probably wouldn't drink 2 weeks before I go, because I knew I'd be drinking all day there.
Right.
Because I get scared of drinking a lot of alcohol. I would get very scared of getting into a routine of alcohol. So there's no alcohol allowed in my house. Do you know what I mean? So you'll never see me drink at home. To me, alcohol is with friends, socially, and that's all it is, right? That's the way I do it. And I enjoy it, and I do like me pints and all that kind of stuff. But I went to a music festival in 2015. I was performing at Latitude in the comedy tent, and I went on drunk.
Right.
I went on at 9 o'clock, and we turned up. We were put into a dressing room, and they gave every performer a crate of beer. So we were just supping away, like all the comedians were at a music festival. I was going outside to watch a band. I'm not on for another 3 hours. I was going over next to I had about 6 pints of me. Completely lost the run of myself. Went on stage, was not good. Was not, to the point where a woman walked to the front of the stage and threw a cushion at me to tell me to get off. Now, there must have been, 600 people in this tent. And I got off and went out for the rest of the night, and I had a great night. To me, I just put it down to comedy, because you get a lot of shit like doing comedy, right? I woke up the following morning and I didn't drink for 16 months. It terrified me that I didn't respect my profession enough or my job. And I didn't drink for 16 months. And I thought, I need to get off this, because I'd been drinking for 3 nights in a row. And I didn't like how comfortable I became with it, that I was going to work with alcohol in me. I would never drink when I work. I take my comedy and everything very seriously. But the fact that I was able to just be like, yeah, who cares? I go on, I don't perform well, I go on, I do it at another gig. Next thing you know, your word is going around. Andrew's not very reliable.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're losing your income. And I didn't drink for 16 months. And I very reluctantly went back on it. And I thought to myself, maybe I should stay off it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I noticed when you say about building your new person, your new life, not everything has to be negative. Oh, I don't want to go out Saturday night because they're going to be drinking, so I don't want to be in that situation. No, it should be like, we're going out Saturday night, who's going to be there? Oh, that's going to be great. Oh, no, I'm not drinking, but you know what? I'm really going to engage. I'm going to be really present. And when it comes to the point when they're all starting repeating the same fucking stories, that's normally around 11:45. That's when I go. I wake up at 7. I'm in the gym. I'm feeling happy. I've got good energy. And I was doing that. And then I went back on it. I don't regret going back on it at all. By God, man, I don't regret it. But I felt that I could see how easy it is to slip.
To go back.
To go back. Yeah. To go to, like, if I...
And why do you think you did go back?
Because I went back on it. One, I missed it.
Okay.
Not missed it as in didn't... I enjoyed I'm a sociable guy.
The social aspect
I'm just a sociable guy. But I went on a stag do, like, you know what I mean? And they were like, oh, we're starting drinking at lunchtime. And I didn't turn up till 6 o'clock because I didn't want to drink all day. I'm a 4-pint, 5-pint guy. That's me done.
Right.
I might do that twice a month. So that's, to me, it's manageable.
And was there always were you always kind of, was there always a fear over drinking?
Well, there's addiction issues, like people close to me. So I would have grown up with an alcoholic dad. Although I have very little memories of him drinking. And, you know, I would say that he would still have had the alcoholic, dry drunk sort of behaviour, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I would always be very scared of that, saying that I could go down the same road as well. So when I must say the best education I ever got was seeing people who were alcoholics at a very young age.
Yeah.
That made me be very wary of alcohol. I don't gamble. I think I gambled last year. I think I put £2 on the Grand National. Yeah. Like just as a novelty. Bit of crack. Don't do drugs. You know, so but my thing is maybe once or twice a month I'll have a few pints.
Yeah.
And I find that very manageable.
Yeah.
I go to the gym 3-4 times a week. You know, I'm 41, like, you know what I mean? I don't have any kids, you know, I'm relatively fit.
Is this the part where I'm supposed to say you don't look 41?
No, it's all right. But my point is that, like, I can see how easy it is for people to get swept up.
100%. But how much does society have an impact on that?
Oh, everywhere you go, like, everything's designed around it.
It's mental, isn't
it? What did I say? There's a comedian, Dan Nightingale, used to go, funeral, you drink, wedding, you drink, christening, you drink, holidays, you drink, work, you drink, pint after work, team, you know, Saturday night you have to drink because on Sunday you've got the Sunday night feeling because you're going into the job on the Monday that you don't want to be in. Then you might want to have pints on Sunday afternoon because you want to forget about where you're going on Monday. And it seems to be this constant cycle of stuff all the time, and it's very hard to break it. And I just think, I suppose, I think a lot of younger people are a lot more aware of it. Do you think so? I don't know from you, from the stuff that you're doing. Like, do you think that we are drinking more, drinking less?
I think it's less, but I think the cocaine and all the other things are going up. Like, I think the drugs are going up. Even just from the rehab centre, like, you can see the age, like the demographic of ages are starting to come down, like the under 30, whereas it used to be, they used to tell me it used to be like 40 and up, like, right, you know, okay. So that's sort of, you just get a lot of people in their 20s, which is good, because people are maybe recognising, going, Jesus, I have a problem, I'm going to get help, and all the things that, like, I'm a big believer in prevention over cure, like, you know what I mean? So I'm back to the last point there about rock bottom and stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's great to see young people recognising, Jesus, I might have a problem with drink or drugs here, but I don't think it's getting any better. I think it's especially post pandemic and stuff like that, not just young people, old people, like social anxiety and all things like that. I do think it's only getting worse, and as you say, I think it's only getting harder because of society. Like, I think it's
Instagram. People have better lives. People are getting depressed. Their life isn't as good as what they're seeing on the
other people, and
we all do it. I'm as guilty as that as anyone. But I like to think I can manage it because I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, when you went into rehab, what was day one like?
Brutal.
So who drives you there? How did you get in? Is it a volunteer?
I wrote a poem about it.
Yeah.
Want to hear?
Okay. A poem about day one. Is this day one or therapy?
About the journey of going down. But day one is like,
just set me the scene.
I'm setting you the scene. So we're going down. So we're going down to Newry. So a guy from my club picks me up who helped me out a lot, was very, very good to me. So we're driving down, 40-minute drive. It felt like 4 hours, Andrew. It was the worst thing ever. So honestly. Sweating, shaking. I'm off for a week, by the way. I'm off for a week, so you have to be off for a week.
So you're on the shakes and stuff.
So I'm brutal, So more or less on the 3rd of June 19, I went to live with my cousin Pierce for a week. I was more or less in his room for a week. Up the stairs, just like, you stay there, that's it, you're not allowed out.
You're locked in for a week.
Basically, in house arrest, like, and it was like, but I wanted that, like, this is when I made that choice to be like, right, if I'm in, I'm all in. Me and you are probably kind of similar types of people.
Cold turkey, like.
Just, I nearly, like, if I need to do this, I need to do it, like, do you know? Because I knew it was only, like, it was a chance at life again, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe trying to get something back, but I think that, that first day going in was just like, so you go into an assessment area and you're there for 2 weeks, right? So it's like a detox area, and there's 10 people in there, and the courtyard's about the size of this office, and that's the only outside space you have. And like, people say about recovery, like the good thing is you get your feelings back, the bad thing is you get your feelings back, because I never felt my feelings because I was just always sniffing them away or drinking them away or running from them or whatever. So actually just sitting in that room with nothing to like, no coke or drink or anything, just sitting there and being like, I'm 21 years of age, how the fuck did I end up in a rehab centre? Like, do you know that sort of, and it was like, what the fuck? So it was all that and a lot of things going through my head, but it was then that I knew that if I wasn't going to be honest, then I was wasting my time. Like, I needed to be honest with myself, and I needed to talk about the problems that I had from when I was a kid and all these things that went on in my childhood that I was never honest about. And I knew as a result of me doing that, it would have upset the dynamic of a lot of people who were close to me, and I had to make that choice, which was tough. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
it was tough, and
I think there's been a part of my life where I've had to do that, and I'm actually still in the process of doing it. Like you know what I mean? It can affect. Honesty can hurt people.
Yeah, because it's the truth.
Yeah,
and I think that you see a lot of things going about now, Andrew, and especially young people, especially women, with what I'm talking about. And sometimes it's easier to say nothing because of the results of what could happen from you being honest.
Yeah,
like families being broke up, or you being made out to be a liar, different things that are going to be sort of threw back in your direction, like a fucking game of tennis nearly, do you know what I mean? And it's like, if I talk, I'm just getting made a dick out of in return, do you know? And it's just how strong am I to deal with? I don't know. But I've managed to stay strong enough through a lot of obstacles the last 4 years, do you know? But it's been a challenge, like. But
you're
right.
You go in, and you wrote a poem about it. So give me a bit of the poem. So this is
right,
you.
So here we are. I haven't read this in a couple of years.
Is this about your time in the centre or on the way to the centre?
It's about my time in the centre.
Okay.
So here we are. So it was the 10th day of June 2019, that trip down from Belfast, so sick I was green. At the gates of Cumwara, I was stricken with fear, thinking of the things that have brought me down here. Now Newry is nice, and the boys they are sound. The hills of Slieve Gullion, they roll all round. 2 weeks in assessment, the time it dragged on. The thinking was torture. Oh, what have I done? I'd retreat to my bed on my pillow each night with the angels and demons. The angels and demons. They would dance through my mind. I'm crying with fear, but I'm doing what's right. It's time I spoke up and the truth being set free. The dark clouds has gone. I can focus on just being me. 3 months have passed. The time it was tough, but look at me now. I'm no longer looking rough. The future is exciting. I've came a long way. I just have to remember it's just for today.
Wow.
And that was That was nearly 4. It was just over 4 years ago.
And you wrote that in there. Yeah, I was that to keep you busy.
So basically, like you've a 10-minute phone call a week, and that's it. You've no like TVs or newspapers or anything like that. So it was then, and like I started to like journal a lot, and like write down how I was actually feeling. And I'd be a big fan of Russell Brand. Do you follow him much?
Yeah, he does. I know his podcast and stuff. Yeah,
and he's very deep, but very connected to himself, and knows a lot about himself. And I think the best relationship you can have is the relationship with yourself.
Yeah,
and having the ability to like nearly fill up your own cup rather than me. Like we're laughing there at the start about maybe dating and girls and different things like that, and me maybe putting my happiness in someone else's cup. So to say, even me and you as a friend, me wanting to spend so much time with you because I know that you're going to fill up my cup, instead of me just being present, being comfortable in my own skin.
Fill up your own cup yourself, yeah.
And being able to sit in the house on a Saturday
night. Be content, be comfortable in your own skin.
100%. Yeah.
Were you scared leaving rehab?
Worst fear ever, because it's a safe place.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when you go in, you do your work, you're clean.
It's the easy part, really.
And then you come back out and all your temptations are back in front of you again. So what was it like leaving?
It's very, very difficult, because it's back to this sort of... But I done a lot of work in there too, in some of the things I'm going to talk about now, but back to this sort of, Jesus, that they know I was in rehab, walking down the street. Like, West Belfast is a small place, like, do you know, everyone would know you were away to rehab, especially within the GA world and stuff, so... But it was back to like not caring, not like that other people's opinion, like it's none of your business and stuff like that. It genuinely, it took me a long time to I tell you what I used to do. I used to actually go out. You mentioned there about the social settings. I used to go out with my mates, right, and like sit in the pub and hope that maybe, say you're sitting at the other end of the pub and be like, fuck, Andrew Ryan seen me not drink and he's going to think I'm a great lad now. I can sit in the pub and all night and not drink. Or Sean was maybe going and I'm going, Jesus, that's brilliant. People know that I'm not drinking. And it was pure ego and me like getting ahead of myself. And that was probably the early days whenever I get out. So I think that, so I read something last night actually and it said if you don't laugh at yourself a year ago, then you haven't learned much about yourself. And it's funny because even like that's 3 or 4 years ago I'm talking about and I'm nearly cringing at myself for doing things like that, but you just learn from it. And now I genuinely don't give a fuck what other people think. I don't.
You gotta just forget about people. And also as well, a lot of people don't really care what you're doing.
They don't care. And that's the thing. But we all get so caught up on what other people are thinking, and it's just, even some of the conversations like with people my age now, and it's just like it's hard. I find it very hard to get involved in silly conversations because it's always like gossip or talking about other people, and it's just like, what is this about? Like, you know, just live your life and fill up your own cup and be happy. Like.
And when you came out and you came home, when did you start getting back to the training?
Oh, so I got out on the 30th of August, and then that was a Friday. That Sunday.
So you missed. No, you weren't. You weren't. I mean, you're only what 19, 20 now. So were you playing? You weren't playing senior then. Were you playing? Senior? You playing senior then? Yeah. Okay, so you obviously weren't playing or training. So
go ahead.
So like when you came out, did you have a timeline? Did you speak to your coaches or enter and say, "Look, are you coming back? What's the crack?" Did they check in? Like, what was the kind of relate?
So I was 21 whenever I got out. Yeah. 22. So I think that. So I hadn't played for Antrim from I was 19.
Yeah, right, okay, yes.
So I was still playing with the club and stuff like, but I got it on the Friday and played. So basically I went in there, Andrew, I was like 21 stone or something. I was mental. I put on a lot of weight, but I went in there with a plan, knowing that like if I get back on the pitch and get back doing things that I love, then it would help my recovery so much. So Becumar is a place where it's like like Sister Concilio would be always like slowly, gently, and there was no exercise or anything. There's a lot of things that like times moved on to, but it did help me. But you would do maybe things a wee bit differently if you had your own rehab centre.
Yeah.
Especially for like the world we live in today. But anyway, I went to one of the nuns and was like, right, I want to start training because I want to get back and play for Antrim, and they were like, well, why didn't you start training before you get in here? Did that get you sober? And I was like, right, whatever. Do you know, like, they were just like, you can't do that. But I found out what time the nuns got up at. They got up at 5:30, so I got up at 4:30 every morning. Seriously, and trained every day. Went running for an hour before everyone woke up. And I got out on that Friday, the 30th of August. That Sunday, I played in a county semi-final for the club. Because I was writing letters back and forth to the manager, telling them what I was doing and all. It was mental. And then that Sunday I played, withdrew, went to a replay the following Sunday, we got beat by a point. That's the year Cushion Doll got the All-Ireland final.
Right.
And they beat us after a replay. And I think that then a week later, it was about a week later, then Lauren Gleeson, the Antrim manager, phoned me and says, will you come back and play for Antrim?
And how did you feel when that phone call
came? Unbelievable. Because I talk about there, like in rehab, you don't have newspapers or TVs or anything like that. And I was talking about journaling and stuff, but you have an imagination. And I think a lot of us use our imagination. I call it imaginative functioning. So it's like, how often do we play things out in our heads that, like, if this happens, if that happens, but and it's just all madness going on, and we're always playing the worst case scenarios. Like everyone, do you know what I mean? And it's like, I was in rehab and I used my imagination for good things. And then I started to like visualise, like going to bed every night, and I was like visualising maybe being back in Croke Park and playing for Antrim and just being happy and comfortable in my own skin. So it was like nearly like a full circle moment. And then I suppose going on and winning the Joe McDonagh the first year we won it in Croke Park, and me and Darren's rolling about the ground in Croke Park, and it was in the Sunday game and stuff. And I think that was nearly like a full circle moment to beat it is there.
Yeah.
Do you know, so being like,
but it's not in the paper. I remember seeing that.
And it was like, do you know what? This is amazing. And that's nothing to do with winning the Joe McDonagh. It's about the journey.
Like, you look really good there.
It was about the journey, like, you know what I mean?
You look really good, like. Can I ask you a question? Now, I don't know if this is the right question to ask somebody.
Go ahead.
But I'm going to go with it. When you look back at everything that you were doing when you were drinking and taking drugs and your behaviour and stuff like that, I don't know if this is the right question or the right thing to say to you. Are you hard on yourself for your behaviour then, or you've dealt with it? It is what it was. Are you kind to yourself about your behaviour? Do you forgive yourself for your behaviour, or do you put it down to the fact that I was an addict and this is what I did? This isn't the real me. Like, I know from some addicts when they look back, and I know people who've stolen cars. I know people who have robbed. I know people who have fights, would go into their mother's purse to steal money for drinking drugs. And when you speak to them 10 years after they're clean and they say like, yeah, I said like, there's shame there, like, but there's also, you have to make amends with yourself as well, like, you know. So how do you look back on that now when you've come on, you're moving forward, you're healthy, you're getting stuff done, you're in a great place. How do you look back at all that stuff?
Well, there's a couple of things that are right. So
I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
No,
like,
and there is no right or wrong.
Yeah, you know
and
what I mean?
Listen, and everything that I've said, I suppose, I think that's important to know. It's what's worked for me. The next person, like, and I work with people every day who are in active addiction, and it's not like the same fucking format fits all. It's not. But what you're saying there is, it's funny, right? Because I think it's important to note that addiction is an illness, so it's not a choice. I don't believe. And I think it should be treated like any other illness. And I think it has a direct, like what I spoke about there, about, you know, trauma and different mental health issues. I think it has a direct link with mental health and the problems we have with mental health. Like addiction, I think they're the same thing essentially. So I think it should be treated like any other disease, if you like. But on the other hand, whenever you're going into AA, there's the big thing that you need to do is throw away the big stick, basically, and throw away the big stick as in, you know, that we're beating ourselves up with, and we need to forgive ourselves. But I think that there's this sort of thing with, it wasn't me, it was my addiction. And I think that there has to be some level of responsibility for your actions, like, and that's only my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, where's the line?
Where's the
balance?
100%? And I think that I needed to take responsibility for my actions, as in, like, I'll be honest. Whenever I went in the rehab, after a couple of months, I wrote everyone a letter who I thought that I affected, and there was a lot of letters wrote, like, do you know. And by the way, I referenced it there. I tried not to bring that much problems home. You know, it was more, a lot of my drug taking and drinking was a lot of, like, it was self-sabotage. It was very, very hard on myself, what you're saying there. It was just like, I hated myself, just couldn't. So, but there was girls involved, do you know what I mean? And there was friends involved, and there was, like, I cheated. Like, I'd done things that I'm not proud of. You know.
Oh, listen, when you're
I didn't care,
addiction,
like,
you don't
you know,
care.
I had no morals at all, but writing them letters, basically, if I didn't then get that forgiveness, firstly, I had to forgive myself, but if I didn't get that forgiveness off other people, as in if they didn't, like, reply to them letters, I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing 100%, like 1,000,000%. I needed forgiveness, but I needed to at least write a letter to someone. But most of them people, I ended up sitting down and having a conversation with them throughout the last 4 years, and I think that's a big
What was the reaction?
Recovery,
What was that like?
I think more
Sitting with them, you know, people that things have happened, and you sit down, you go, listen. Did they see, like, what was their reaction?
Brutal. No, like, 90% of it was grand. 90% of people were like, here, 100%, like, you've made mistakes, but know deep down you're a good person. But the other 10% you had to sit and
take
listen.
it, like, you'd fucking take it, like.
And I had to take it because I knew that without these people who, you know, they're giving me it and stuff, but I probably wouldn't be alive without them.
You need some hard truths as well, don't you?
That's the thing.
Wake up calls, like.
And that's the thing, and I was able to sit through that, and I think that's what made me who I am today. And like, by the way, see all this, Andrew, this period, or this whatever way you want to look at it, in a way, the fact that I've got like the other things ironed out with other people and with apologies and everything's good and they're doing well in their lives, I'm glad it's all happened. I really, really am, because it's made me realise that what my purpose is in life and how I can help people, and what I can do in the future then to maybe, because, like, I think if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone, because I was one of them people, like, you would never have thought in a million years that I would have went down that road, like, ever.
I have a mate of mine. Exactly, yeah, I have a mate of mine. He went to an AA meeting once. He's a friend of mine, and he's in AA. And he picked me up, and we were playing golf, you know, and I got into the passenger side of the car, and there was 4 packets of biscuits. And I went, what are the biscuits for? He goes, oh, I've got a fucking meeting later. I'm on biscuit run. Right? He goes, I'm on biscuit run. I said, what do you mean? He goes, oh, hey, I'm on, it's biscuit. Tonight's my biscuit night. I have to do the biscuits tonight, right? And he was like, these fucking alcoholics, man. He was like, they love their fucking biscuits. You know what I mean? Really? All right. So he was able to have a laugh at that. And then I kind of said to him, so how are you getting on in there? And he said, you know what? He said, I really like it, but I don't think it's for me long term. And he's still sober, completely sober. But I think he went in and he went, I've gone in, I've learned a lot, but now I think I'm able to manage it. And not like, how would you say, like he's delighted he went, but not everything that you go through and you experience and your solutions are right for everybody else. Do you know what 100%. I mean? So what people say, like, oh, you know the way you hear people, oh, just be happy. Just give up.
And that's my point about it.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's not that fucking easy.
It's not that easy. You can't do that.
It's impossible, actually. Yeah. It's impossible. And that's why it should be treated with a wee bit more respect. And not even just for the person who's in active addiction. Like, if anything, in the tree or the branch of people who's been affected by me in the middle of it is, you know, loved ones. Like, I don't know, whether it's a wife or whether it's a parents or sons or daughters or whatever. Like, the person who's in active addiction, it's probably the easiest for them is out of all them people I've just mentioned, because and it is a family disease. Do you know? So I'd be a big believer in family therapy too. Like, do you know what I mean? And trying to connect that together.
Yeah, because the trauma of having somebody in your family as an addict it's horrendous.
Like the ripple effect of that.
Oh, but it affects parents' marriages.
Yeah.
Affects their marriage. The children then don't want to be at home because they don't want to see it. So they're out. Next thing you know, what they're doing then when they're out is potentially leading them into substance abuse, which is they don't want to be at home because they don't want to see substance abuse. 100%. So they go somewhere else and stay out late. And what they're doing is they're taking substances so that they can blank out the substance abuse that they're seeing at home. And it's this fucking circle that constantly is going round and round and round.
And I think that that's how I probably found see what you're referencing there. Like that's my like goal in life or purpose in life is to give. If I'm lucky enough someday to have a family, is to give them something completely different to what I had. Yeah. In terms of trying to break that cycle.
Yeah. Have you a partner?
No.
Right. Do you date?
No.
You know, you're not.
I'm a weirdo.
You're a weirdo.
Like I'm a weirdo, and that's the other thing. But I'm okay. Like I'm okay with that. Sometime I will, like, do you know what I mean? And I will step into it and maybe explore something. But like at the minute, like, see, building a relationship with myself and just being comfortable in my own skin and whatever happens. But I'm not. I wouldn't be like I'm sitting here and we're having a good chat, but I'm not confident, like, in that side of things. And a lot of that stems.
Are you worried that what they're going to think of you?
No, I think a lot of it stems with my own internal stuff, like when I'm talking about the abuse and stuff. You know, like I'll be honest with you, Andrew, and I don't really talk about it that often, but. Like, whenever I was in university, I found myself standing in the middle of the Kremlin, looking around me going, is this what I am?
Yeah.
Kremlin's a gay bar here in Belfast, and going, because I just didn't know, I couldn't, like, at that age, is it any wonder if I ended up in rehab, but at that age, you're a student life, and because of all this madness was going on in my head, I couldn't then have sex with people. And that sort of knocked my confidence a lot, do you know what I mean? Because then girls would be like, is it my fault? And I'm like, no, it's me, but I can't really talk to you. I'm away out the gap, and then I was dick. Do you know what I mean?
You're drinking to forget
about it.
It's a cycle, yeah.
But that's not why that's not why I'm single.
Yeah, I know.
But I think that's just to paint the picture of people, especially like men and women at a young age, or like see the amount of conversations I've had about that, Andrew. It's been mental, and the amount of people who aren't talking about it is mental. Yeah. And I think that I'm comfortable talking about it. What's the point in keeping it in? Because if maybe I could help someone then come out. And I don't know whether you've seen this. You know, there's two brothers and one of them ended up like a multi-millionaire and the other one ended up homeless on the street. And they were both asked, you know, why are you a multi-millionaire? And he says, well, multi-millionaire and he's sober. And he's like, because my dad was an alcoholic and I didn't want to be like that. And the other brother was asked, why are you like that on the streets, an alcoholic? He's like, because my dad was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And that was so powerful because we can go one way or another.
Or the pendulum can swing.
You know, and it's like what direction. And I think that, I don't know, just by watching loads of podcasts and Russell Brand and Jimmy Carr and all the different comedians and looking and like I just can't watch something and not be like, take it for what it is. I'm like, but why? Why? And I have a feeling you're a wee bit like that.
I would have, it's an attention need.
Yeah.
100%. Like, I'm not denying it. Like, and the beauty about it is I'm doing something that I absolutely love.
And you're passionate about it.
But I've turned that situation from a childhood into a real positive here,
100%.
right? But like, do I still need? Do I still need it? I think it's ingrained in me for the rest of my life.
Validation.
Yeah, but I think I'm a lot better than what I used to be because I get a lot of fulfillment out of what I do.
Yeah.
And I feel very, very happy in my personal life.
Yeah.
Like I feel really happy. I feel really settled for the first time probably ever. Do you know what I mean? I own my own home for the first time, like...
Well done.
And like, to be able to buy a house through my own money, not one help off anyone, apart from this. First time buyer lack, I didn't have to pay stamp duty because of the government. But to be able to buy a house from Jokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that drives me forward. Well, if I can do that, what else can I do? And like every single comedian, like Jerry Seinfeld had a great line one day. He said, I could be in a house party and it could be 100 people there. But they said to me that there was one comedian in the room out of the 100. He says, within 10 seconds, I'll know who it is. Give me a quick one look, I'll pick the comedian out. Because the comedian will be standing a little bit away from everybody, just looking around, feeling a bit uncomfortable, don't really want to engage fully. Like I watched a TV show, I don't know if you've seen it, based in Belfast called Come Home. It's on Netflix.
Don't know.
Okay, it's a brand new show. Okay. It's about a husband and wife living in North Belfast. Brilliant, it's on Netflix. And I was watching it last night, and the wife has married with 3 kids, and the wife leaves. She doesn't want nothing to do with the kids anymore, which is normally it's the bloke,
the other way
right?
around, yeah.
And it's just toxic relationships, and there's alcohol involved, and like I highly recommend it. But I was watching it, and I just went, turn it off. It's triggered me. And that's fiction.
Yeah, and I can relate a lot to that.
And I spoke about it on the radio this morning.
Yeah, but what you're doing is, Andrew, you had a choice. Do you know what I mean? And the choice that you have made, and that's why I'm so interested, because like I somewhere along the line I made a choice of being like, do you know what? I'll go down this way because it's easier to suppress. Where if you've made a choice and be like, do you know what? I'm going to put all my energy into something that I love and I'm passionate about, and look what I am. Of course we're going to be triggered. Of course we are.
Yeah,
do you know? And like we're not. None of us are bulletproof.
Oh yeah,
I believe, and I still have my shit. There's still like Sean will tell you. Like I'm probably out of all the people he does podcasts with, I'm probably the hardest to work with because you just don't know what tone we're getting sometimes, and that's okay.
I know. Yeah, he texted me yesterday saying he's like, "What type of Domhnall are we getting?" Like,
but that's why I surround myself with good people like that understand me and what way I tick, and even like the likes of Annette there, like just people who like appreciate you for who you are, and they don't have an agenda, and people who want to see you do well, and people and my friend groups have changed an awful lot, and I think for a young person that even do that, like leave WhatsApp groups and leave Snapchats and leave different things and be like, do you know what? I'm going to be authentic to me and be my authentic self, and I think that I'm starting to like reap the rewards as a result of that, because now I'm doing well with the podcast, and like me and Annette are doing a live event for the Fela, and there's loads of things
things happening
now because I'm just being true to myself. Have you? I'm sure you've experienced that now with the radio.
I'm going to tell you something, right? This is an interesting fact. Quick summary. When I started comedy, I got really hooked on it. I got very addicted to it. Right. To the point where like I couldn't stay in at night and watch TV because I wanted to be at a gig. I found the buzz of it and the endorphins and all that. I used to do loads of I used to run marathons, half marathons. I used to do a bit of fell running well before I was a comedian, when I was 26. And then I started to do really, I'd say do well. I mean, after 2 or 3 years, I was able to make a living off it. I mean, the fact that I get paid for it is just mental. I would do it for free.
Me and Sean were talking about that too. Like,
but I would. It took me a fucking while to get that job. I was sitting there going, oh, you fucker. Right, but anyway. One thing you notice about me is that I don't get jokes.
Do you?
No, I actually don't. Sean will agree, won't you, Sean? Like, Sean will actually tell you, like, there's sometimes I'm sitting on the podcast and somebody says something, I'm like, did he just say a joke there? Sean will agree with you.
100%. And it's a couple of times somebody goes, said a joke, Andrew, and you go, all right, okay.
I don't know maybe I'm just so focused on something else. But I wanted to be, when I used to go watching comedy and stuff like that, the stuff that I wanted to be, I wanted to do all these big rooms and all that. And I would ask questions as to why I'm not getting it. Can I get this? Can I get that? Can I get this? And I was so focused about getting something that I actually forgot what I was doing. And I would focus on the rejection more than the fact that I'm doing my dream job. Doesn't matter what level I'm doing it at. The fact I am a success because I'm doing it. Like you could have somebody now that could play soccer for a team in League Two in England, right? And they're making whatever £500 a week playing for a team in League Two, or £1,000 a week, and you're going, I'm a full-time footballer in League Two in England. This is brilliant. And then somebody go, yeah, but you're not in the Premier League. And I go, no, you're not. He's still doing it, right? Then I noticed the more I wanted something in my career, I was in England. I'd done about maybe 10, 11, 12 TV shows. And I would say of the TV shows that I'd done, only about 2 or 3 of them went well. Because I put so much pressure on myself that this has to go well. Because I want the world to see them that I think I'm funny, right? So I ended up pushing it away. Oh, don't be offering Andrew anything because he overanalyzes things and he's a bit of a pain in the arse. He's always asking questions. When can I get this? You actually end up turning people away. So I wanted something too much rather than enjoying the process. Then my mother got sick and I moved home and I lived with her for about 9-10 months or so. And I stopped caring about it. Because I was like, it doesn't really matter anymore because I want to focus on my mum. Then the pandemic happened. So I had nearly 3 years out. And in that 3 years, I was stacking shelves in B&Q. I had no comedy, with no mum. Broke up with my girlfriend. I lost everything. And you know what? I was still going. I thought, this is fine.
Yeah.
I thought, if I can deal with all that. And then I thought to myself, well, I remember stacking shelves one day in B&Q during the pandemic going, I'm actually fine with this. So when comedy came back after the pandemic, I went back in with, I don't really care anymore, right? I went in with this attitude of, I don't care anymore. I've lost everything. I've been to hell. I'm probably still a little bit in hell. And you know what? And I survived it. So why am I going to, what will be, will be. So I ended up relaxing more because I'd lost it. So I appreciated it more. Never asked for anything. Never asked for a TV spot. Never asked for the radio. Never asked for, whatever. I used to be ringing my agent. What's the story with this? Any chance I can get on that? Do you think they'd have a look at me for this? Stopped asking. The minute I stopped asking, I got more. Because do you know what? I was just being myself, 100%. And I stopped. 100%. I stopped. Like Q Radio. I mean, I did the radio in the morning. Q Radio. They approached me.
Do you do the radio?
Yeah. But they approached me.
Did they?
Yeah, I never approached them at all.
But do you not think that? See,
do you know what I mean? Never looked for
100%. But see, even like earlier, I was saying there. So the more I've been trying to just be like maybe my like authentic self and just go on my own journey, that things are just starting to happen.
Yeah.
Like you, like there's you sitting in B&Q stacking the shelves, and you're not chasing anything. You're just comfortable in your own skin. You're accepting that number one, I'm okay with this. I'm stacking these shelves, and whatever anything else happens next, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
So you're not then going outwards into this mad world, being like, Jesus, he's doing that. I need to be doing that.
Exactly,
he's doing that. You're just comfortable with who Andrew is, and I think the more all of us can maybe try and do that and not compare ourselves to other people and just be true to yourselves, then the more like good things start to happen. Things that are for you, not things that we're trying to like chase that maybe will look good on Instagram. Or maybe, do you know what I mean? Things that are actually really for you and they're in alignment with what your purpose is and life. Like,
exactly. Like,
it's powerful.
Yeah.
Play to you.
Like, so, and then I was over here and somebody said to me like, oh, you live in a doing comedy. I said, I actually perform more in London than I do in Ireland to this day still anyway. Right? And I go to England mostly. I'm going to England this week. I'm in England every second, third week now going forward for a bit. I've had a bit of a break from going over. But I started in England. So I'm very, be known in the clubs there in terms of the bookers and the promoters and stuff. And I never want to lose that because to me, that's just the best part of it, is the freedom. You know, you can go, I know comics now that, they're doing the SSE and they're doing the Waterfront or whatever. And now it's a big gig and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what? You treat it just like you're treating any other gig because that behaviour you did in front of 20 people is the behaviour that got you here. So why would you change what got you here? It's like if you were, say, playing an All-Ireland match, just do what you always do because that, obviously it's, but like if, you just do what you always do. The reason we got you here is because we want you to do what you do. Yeah. So like, just relax. Yeah. Obviously it is different and stuff, but I think
a process.
It's a process. And I think people who chase things and push for things too much sometimes probably focus on what they're not getting rather than enjoying what they do have. Like, I am so settled now. Yeah. And I go, well, if I get offered something, brilliant. If I don't, but sure, I have all this.
So you're so settled now, but what's changed really on the exterior? Nothing?
No,
in terms of the world and in terms of like all these things.
I learned to like myself through therapy.
Perfect. So that's on the internal.
I really like myself now. I'm very happy. Just I could sit in a room all day and not have to have and let me rephrase that. I'm very happy. I feel comfortable in my skin. I do have a few hang-ups. I do worry about my weight, even though I wouldn't say I'm overweight or anything like that. But my dad was overweight, so I have to be skinny. Do you see what I mean? So whatever I feel is the opposite, I have to, which is it's probably something you still have to work on.
Yeah.
But I feel I have an amazing girlfriend that I met last year who's really good at letting me be myself.
So important.
And I can do the most stupidest stuff around her, and she's like, yeah. And I'm like, yes.
And can she be like that around you too?
And I'm like, yes, finally.
Yeah.
Somebody that lets me, pretend I'm fucking humping a door in the kitchen for a crack.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Daft. 100%.
Daft
or talking
stuff.
a funny voice or do something, or 100%.
I can go out in a tracksuit with fucking paint stains or an old t-shirt that has a hole in the back, and she's like, I don't care.
Yeah, that's powerful.
And I think when I'm relaxed then around that, I don't have to be something fake. I'm then so settled in myself then, which allows me to be happy at work. Because I know when I'm going home, I'm feeling good when I go home. Yeah. Like, I love when my girlfriend comes home from work. I love cooking for her, and I love opening the door for her. So when I open the door, and she's like, oh, and so it said to me that she likes coming in because she likes somebody's waiting for me.
Class.
So tiny things,
100%.
Rather than like, how many followers have I got? What's this? Oh my God, look at me! I'm on this boat. Look at me! Follow my reel. Look at me! How can make I mean, I barely put anything personal up on Instagram. I just put up work stuff. Listen to the pod. These are the gigs. Here's a video. That's all I do. Yeah. You'll never know how I vote. You never know what I had for dinner yesterday. Because I don't need to prove it to anybody.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know?
Because you're filling up your own cup.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Domhnall, this is great, man.
Aye.
Domhnall, tell me, where can people find you? Can they check in with you? Because you help people, don't you? You help a lot of people with addiction.
Well, after helping you for the last hour.
I'll give you the 50 quid there in a minute, all right? So tell me your web. What? Let's face
it on Instagram and Facebook and all that crap.
Yeah.
And we do a wee podcast too.
Good stuff.
Aye, so it's good. And listen, I think the podcast that we do is a lot different to what you used to. And I'm a big believer over, like, it's not about the following or the listeners. It's about that wee community that you can create.
Yeah.
And I think
we've got a great community of people here that we have to follow. It's very loyal people. Like.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Like, we've took a break there the last 3 weeks, like, and the amount of people messaging going like, what, why? Like, exactly. A break, man. So I think that it's really important, and let's face it, was just a fluke. Like, I only started it up as like a thing where, people can message and maybe, I can direct them to get help and stuff. But now, over like the last year, like the first 10 episodes I done, I think something like 11 or 12 people went into rehab as a result of it.
That's fantastic.
It's amazing. Yeah. Like, and now we've sort of got away from, like, we're getting people like yourself and people who are doing sort of half well in life and come in and say, do you know what, you're doing well, but I have a perception of you on social media, or such and such has a perception of you because you're a comedian, because you're doing so well. A lot of people would think that you don't have any issues.
Oh, plenty! So Jesus, mate.
That's the whole point of the podcast,
the Republic of Issues here.
Yeah. So and that's the whole point. It's trying to, like, normalize.
If you don't have issues, I think you're weird.
100%. So it's trying to create that environment where we can be, like, authentic and vulnerable and open and honest.
We'll call this podcast Trauma in the North.
We call this Trauma in the North. Because whenever time someone comes on, they mention trauma, we're like, oh yeah, a bit of trauma. Come on. What did he do? What did he do?
Non-edited version. I'll hold you to that.
Domhnall Nugent, thanks so much for coming on Cork in the North podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, as I say, we do different on this podcast. Obviously, we're joined by Aaron and a lot of comedians and stuff, but we always do try to mix it up. Bring in different guests from different backgrounds, completely the opposite of what we do. We've had Naomi Long has been on. We're still waiting. We had Naomi Long on, where we've got a couple of really potentially high-profile guests coming
Michelle O'Neill, no?
Well, I think I've got a feeling that I think she may have looked into me, and let me put this as a flat no.
But surely being on the radio helps you a little bit.
No, it doesn't fuck, man. No, I think it's high risk to come on with a comedian, like, because I could say something and they could get it, somebody could clip something. She's statesman-like now at the moment, isn't she? Stateswoman-like because she's flying. And but listen,
yes,
I won't give up. I fucking won't. Listen up, Michelle. Look at me. I'm coming for you. Cork in the North. Buy the merch. Links below. Links for Domhnall stuff as well.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Thanks.
Slán.
Thank you, mate.